My name is Randy Savig. I used to work in factories, and by golly, due to health, I had to retire back in the late 90s. That's when I really started looking into the Bigfoot phenomenon. I have been interested in Bigfoot since I watched the Leonard Nimoy series on In Search Of. After having more time on my hands than I knew what to do with, I found the internet. And the amount of reading and studying that you can do on the internet is fantastic. Back in 2011, I found a group that I decided that sounded like my type of folks, and I joined up. The MABRC has done a wonderful job of helping me and supporting me in going out and collecting the audio, getting it reviewed, and posting what I find. It's interesting out there. I mean, I can sit here and try to tell you of all the neat experiences, but until you go out in the woods, you just don't know what's there. And again, I hope that you like what you're going to be seeing today.
Hi, my name is Bernie Wall. I'm Randy's research partner. I'm also retired. He got me interested in this about 2.5, 3 years ago. And I find it fascinating that we can go out in the woods and hear sounds that shouldn't exist anywhere close to us, say maybe Africa, and look at what they can do with the twists and turns of manipulating trees. Interesting subject, and I don't ever have a night out in the woods that I don't find interesting. That's it.
Okay. Well, some of the questions that I've had is some of the basic equipment that I use out in the woods. Basically, my research bag is nothing more than a duffel bag. In the duffel bag, there's several compartments where I keep the portable recorders. Some of these you can leave out in the woods. Again, this is off-the-shelf stuff. This is not the high-dollar stuff that you have to spend a ton of money on. I also do buy other microphones for these. They clip in on the top. The reason why I do that is they're a little bit more superior than what the recorder is on top as far as the microphone goes. It also puts it into stereo versus a mono. These I use for the parabolics as well as the drop boxes. This one here is an H2 zoom. A lot of folks have seen them. This one I primarily will use as a camp recorder. The reason for it is these things really eat some batteries. With these, about 4.5, 5 hours max is what you get. I've got an adapter that I put into my truck that I can plug into this and not use the batteries, and just set it on top of the truck, and the truck a little ways away from camp. That way, if there's some activity around camp, it is also recorded and we can capture what's going on. Real important thing if you're putting drop boxes out is a GPS. As much as you might think you know the area, when you put a little drop box out, it's easy to forget where you put it. So if you end up marking it on the GPS, you will have it when you go back to get it. We also use this to mark some of the possible manipulations that we find so that we can see if they're in a line, see if they make any sense on a big picture. You know, hopefully we can end up getting some travel corridors and stuff figured out with that by putting on Google Earth. Of course, you got your different headlamps and flashlights that you have to have at night in order for it to be able to see and move around. This is what I call a drop box. This is nothing fancy. It's just a homemade, or not homemade, but it's just a little case that was bought at a dollar store for $1. Happens to hold the recorder very well. And what I'll do is I'll take a recorder and a microphone. This is the same microphone as the other one. The only thing is I've made a homemade windsock on it. If there's any wind out there, you'd be surprised how less distortion you got when you make a little windsock for it. We plug it in, we can turn it on, insert it into the box, zip it up, and now we can hang it from a limb of a tree, or we can hang it anywhere we want. It stays out in the woods. These little Sony recorders that I use are actually very good because they'll have up to a 60-hour battery life on them. So if you want to leave it out for a couple nights in a row and not disturb it, you can just let it run the whole time. A lot of people don't think you get much activity during the daytime, which I have to agree. But some of my better audio has been caught during the day. Now, out in the woods, especially during the winter time, when there's not the bugs, I like to use parabolics. This is the Big Daddy that I recently built. I know it's not real fancy and doesn't look real good. It also has a mic that's mounted into it. These are the recorders that I use to record with these. I plug them in, set the recorder, and kick it on. This one, because it is so large, is not real mobile, and it's heavy enough, if there's wind or something, I don't leave it out in the woods. Where with these smaller ones that I've also built, they are a lot more portable. Now, if you're looking at that, you know exactly what's going on. We've got a salad bowl, and we've got an old fan stand. This is just stuff that is normally thrown away. Again, to keep the cost down, you need to do that. I take the doggone microphone, put it in place. I use an extension with these so that I can have the microphone always in the right proper location. That's the key to a parabolic, is having the microphone in the right location to be able to collect the sounds. Then on the back side, again, I just plug it up. If I'm going to leave this out at night or for an entire night and pick it up the next day, I'll put it in a drop box. The only reason I put it in the drop box is to protect it from moisture and whatever. These are the basic necessities for when you're out trying to collect audio out in the woods. Again, the parabolics work fantastic in the fall, winter, and spring, but I'll guarantee you, especially with this Big Daddy, if you end up getting a bug 50 foot away that's going to sing all night, or a tree frog, you will not collect any decent audio for the simple fact of the distortion. This is basically all of the stuff that we use when we go out for audio collection. Now, other researchers use a lot of different stuff with thermals, cameras, game cams, and stuff like that. All very useful equipment in finding out what the answer is to this Bigfoot phenomenon. But this is kind of where my specialty has gone. We're going to grab that tripod for a minute. You know, this is part of setting up this equipment. I mean, this holler over here is really deep. We can't really tell from where we're at. But again, it's a big, wide, expanse, open area. Sometimes when you want to hear audio across from you to the other holler, you'll never hear it with an open microphone. Hence, that's the big advantage of using these parabolics. I made this thing again so it was fairly easy to set up from the get-go. What we'll do now is plug in the microphone, and we're going to give this thing a microphone test. One, two, three. Perfect. Now, being we'll be collecting this tonight, we'll just set that in.
And you do the audio.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, just any place on there. Make sure that sucker's not in the leaves and stuff, though, because when it comes to audio review, if there's leaves bashing up against it. Here, let's go ahead and put it on it. Here, let me make this one, because that's out in the open. You won't have near the, there you go. Now with a drop box like this, again, people could go by this and really not see it. There's no lights on this thing. It should blend in very well at night. And we can leave that thing, again, for up to 60 hours without having to worry about it.
Okay, you ready? Okay.
Wow. Look at the way that thing has been bent over.
Why isn't it broken though? Dang.
That is one. Hold it now. Most of the time these things have got something. Well, look at what.
Okay, what do we got?
That sucker has been.
They tied a knot in it? Well, yeah, basically.
It's nothing fancy, but it definitely held it down.
Yeah, but you know what? I couldn't do that crap.
Again, this is a daggone oak tree. That don't bend worth a dang. And that is secure in there. So the more it wanted to pull up, the tighter it would make that knot.
Yeah, you're not going to pull that loose, and I can tell you what, there's not a human that I know of that could make that crap. That's unreal.
Well, I think this is definitely a place that we need to put a drop box for a few days, a few times, and see what we can get out of this thing.
I think we need to come out here and sit some night, but yeah, that's about as unusual as I've ever seen.
Well, let's get the drop box.
Okay, let's get a drop box and put it out.
We don't want to put it on the structure. We'll find the spot down here for it.